Good evening and welcome to the Big Picture Show. The Big Picture, big conversations and big guests. This time we mean it, like it's literally a big guest.
Yeah, giant.
Giant of a man, but I'm not doing this alone as always. I'm doing it with Justine Wanda, comedian, human rights activist, and also a co-host of The Big Picture. And we are joined by the ever funny lawyer, comedian, esports anchor, and he insisted that we are the last one, Kalasha Award winner.
Thank you.
And also host of the new show, Awkwardly Kenyan Interviews, John Ribia.
Thank you so much. You know, I didn't get your name. Is it Tom Juan? Or how do you...
You're not Luya, it's not born in you. It's not born in you, brother.
Okay.
But yeah, just stick to esports anchoring.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, right.
John Ribia, excited to have you on, but this is a week of a lot of activities. Top of the list is CHAN, the African Nations Championship 2024. It's 2024 because it should have happened last year, but was pushed over to this year because of COVID and also scheduling of national tournaments and all those things. But also NACADA dropped a bombshell last week, caused a lot of stir because a lot of us would not be able to have drunk when we were younger because the legal age of drinking is going to be raised if these proposals are passed through Parliament and all those public participation channels. It's going to rise from 18 to 21 and a host of other regulations like where it should be sold, where it should be advertised, and even who can advertise it.
Yeah, just so you know, Tom is not 18 years old.
Yeah, just so they know.
Yeah.
Just so they know. But I started drinking. Wow. Everyone starts drinking when they're around 19, right? The regular drinking age of that's the reason it caused the big problem.
And this is Alcoholic Anonymous.
No. But everyone who's ever tested alcohol in Kenya probably drank it when they were 19, 20, 21. But then now they're adding those years on top of it. But the bigger question is, are these regulations even worth it? What is the effect that it's going to have on not only the drinking age in Kenya, but also the economy? Because alcohol is very much a big chunk of where tax is collected in this country. And also other things, the things that have been happening in the country, particularly the presidential pledge of 600 million if Harambee Stars win the title. I don't know if you guys believe it. I have my opinions. I think it's cool. We'll get into that later. But let's kick off the show, guys. First of all, Ribia.
What's up?
Excellent show, man. Awkwardly Kenyan Interviews.
Thank you.
Your first guest was Justine.
The amazing Justine Wanda.
Checking me supporting up-and-coming journalists.
And comedians.
First of all, journalists are not up-and-coming. You are just a journalist. You would know if you are a journalist. See, I'm a professional journalist.
Justine, are you a journalist?
Miss JG So I would never claim a title that's not mine. That's like Wakia Tom. But also, if you're going to be a journalist, you have to do research and stop sitting in Illuminati pose. You know.
This is my serious. I was trying to be serious, bro.
I was going full Baphomet on us.
Yes, exactly.
I was thinking, okay.
Yeah. But Ribia, you're also a lawyer, comedian, esports anchor. We like to start on a positive plus personal note here.
Yes.
How did you end up doing all these three things? Esports, you're like all over the place, man. Are you just decisive?
Esports was, I used to play video games a lot, and I would participate in tournaments. But after campus, I met some kid from ICD who came to play in a tournament called in Gamazone Lounge. And after the kid humbled me, about 5-6-0, I figured maybe it might be a chance to do like commentary. So I decided to do it for fun with my friends. I was trying to imagine what a Kenyan commentary of a game would look like. Because when you hear FIFA commentary online, more when you're playing, it's a bit generic, and also it's about the players. I wanted to now focus the commentary on the people who are playing on the ground, because I know them, I know their history. So people liked it. So step by step, it became a thing, and now I do commentary for full-time. Not full-time, but for every esports event, you'll find either me there or a guy called Eugene Abu Dhabi or another guy called Hisi. That's what we do.
And it's such a budding sport. And game even here in Kenya. Like
just yesterday we had a tournament by Betika. We had a prize pool of 2 million. So there's a kid who won 500,000 just from playing FIFA. So it's really growing. It's a really growing scene. We've been around the country 3 or 4 times, and it's an alternative place for people to earn money. These game events have a lot to do in terms of keeping places secure. It keeps the kids busy, and also has other benefits. For example, improving your motor skills, your communication skills, your social skills. You'd be surprised the people I've met in the corporate world through esports. So
esports.
Yeah. So for me, it's a hobby that ended up being a career accidentally.
And there isn't a bigger blessing than being able to merge those two.
Yeah, so it's the best feeling. It doesn't feel like work.
Ribia does commentary for esports, which I think is like a professional yapping.
Pretty much. Well.
So kids have dreams.
Actually, yeah, but you'd say that, but it's actually true.
Yes.
It's true, yeah. But the hardest thing, though, is finding out how we can expand the scene now in Kenya. But happily, last week or this weekend, we had players coming in from Uganda, Tanzania, and some even tried from Burundi and Congo. So it's really growing right now. And now Kenya is this hub for East and Central Africa. We're not at the level of South Africa yet, not at the level of Nigeria. Nigeria has a bigger consumer base.
Yes.
South Africa has just more money and the powerful rand there. But we are close. We are inching closer and closer. And what do you guys do with your time other than being a host of this one show? Do you guys do anything else?
Yeah, Justine is a brilliant comedian.
Please leave Ribia. Stop trying to justify your...
Maybe this is all I do.
Yeah.
But Ribia,
yes,
I'd like to ask Justine this question first before I get to you. I know you're a football fan. Justine, did you go to the game yesterday?
No, I did not go to the game, but this was for personal reasons. I would have loved to be there, but also, no, Ruto must go.
Yeah. But come on, it's just the game, Justine.
No, it's not, because first of all, most of the tickets were hoarded.
Oh yeah,
there were people who were. I remember when the announcement for Chan professionally being announced, people went to buy tickets.
Yeah.
I think the people who bought tickets in the very, very beginning were the only people who were able to get tickets.
Yeah.
I know like 6 or 7 of the people I follow online who were able to be like, no, we were able to get this, but only because we bought them during this window. And then after some time, people couldn't buy the tickets online. So even if I'd wanted to go, I don't think I would have been able to get a ticket that last minute.
You see, what's crazy is you say this, and a lot of Kenyans also are protesting the exact same thing, that tickets were hoarded and MCAs kept popping up with tickets to offer for free.
Yes.
You know,
but
I'll be the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
As someone who's been going to Kenyan games for a long time, I'm so happy we're at a place where now corruption is getting to football tickets. At least now there's demand for people to go to the stadium. Back in the day, you'd be there by yourself and be like an echo.
I've
Good job, Amosh. It never used to work. So I couldn't go yesterday because I was doing the show, but I'm happy we're here. We can just change a little bit in terms of ticketing. We can have direct consumer platforms. For example, the likes of Household House and the likes. If they use that, it can be easier. Because it's a shame that, because the people who went to home, even though it was sold out, there were still some empty seats.
There were many empty seats.
So that means whoever bought, I'm guessing it's a case of buying in bulk and then holding for the secondary market.
And I think it's not even like direct to consumer that's the problem. A lot of the ticketing in Kenya is the platforms themselves are operated by certain entities. So if you do have access to the entity that operates the tickets, you can literally write sold out and none of the tickets have gone.
To their defense, I went to the website to purchase the Sunday game, Kenya-Morocco. And I found that the sale was going on, like it's active, it's live.
Oh, it's live?
And so many people are buying. I'm talking, if you go right now, you'll be in line and there'll be like thousands of people who are in front of you in the line.
That's why I'm asking, if you're purchasing a ticket, right? Especially if it's last minute, of course there's going to be 1,000 people trying to purchase a ticket. That's not anything new. I'm saying for the people who tried to purchase it over the week, they were not able to access it. That's not a platform issue. It has to be, there has to be more, it can't just be the platform. There has to be more details.
You know where you're coming from. We used to buy these tickets outside, either you buy it outside Kenya Cinema or outside Nyayo Stadium.
Yes.
From gari ya G4S. The Stampedes umefinywa hapo katikati ya wasio tatu na game imeanza. Unapatia mbili. Unajaribu kupata change yako ya thao imeenda. You just have to sacrifice. I think we're doing better. And I think the best thing about hosting Chan now is preparation for now. AFCON.
Yes.
The only thing I'm worried about myself is actually the game itself, Harambee Stars. They perform worse in Kenya than they do outside. Because, you know, Kenyan fans are not like, you don't go there to support, you don't go there to sing songs and dance. Every single person there is a coach. Kila mse hapa kwa their tactics. Did you watch the game?
No, I did not watch the game.
Like the 10th minute or so there, our captain, the left back, he was trying to do a Ronaldo chop to pass somebody and it was a foul, but the ref didn't see it, the guy scored, but VAR called it back,
I saw that.
The whole stadium. Toy sub, talk. So the pressure at home to play here, it's massive. So that's what I'm worried about.
But they had more ball possession though, right? They had more ball possession.
Tunaguza ball squeeze, but
tunaguza ball.
Morocco tunapiga kama 4-0 hivi.
I can't say that. Maze kuna delusion, alafu kuna kuwa an ambitious fan. I think Morocco is a tall order. Even a draw, I'll go home happy with a draw, I think.
You know, that's the good thing about football. You dare to dream. For example, the producer is still dreaming for us not to win a Champions League. So we dream.
Yeah, Arsenal, keep dreaming.
Dead dreams, we had to, keep dreaming.
But the reason I think Morocco will win, and this is I'm patriotic. I'm as patriotic as they can come. Buda nilienda maandamano, but CHAN is primarily, the rules around CHAN are it's supposed to be for domestic leagues.
Yes.
Kenya's domestic league, comparing it to Morocco, you can't really say those two are the same level.
Speaking of which, this is something that has been brought up not just like by the fans themselves, but even avid football watchers, people who go to like those mashinani games. It's not just that the football culture in Kenya is not there. There are people who are very talented, but there's a really, really small difference between talent and actually excellence in playing in a team and being able to coordinate that kind of output at a national scale. If you don't get to play together in a training facility, coordinated by a coach, if you're placed in a team that has just a slightly better chance at playing together, they're gonna destroy you because they know what to do in that situation.
No, but I think we can compete, man.
That's what I'm saying. Being good is not enough. We need to be able to push the envelope from where it is. Because Ribia, I know you're saying it's fun that corruption has moved to football now, but at the same time, it's literally like the difference is very minor. The difference is not like you are at leasting your way out of this conversation. Tuko at least than pale tulikuwa before. That's not a metric to measure longevity because it gets to a certain point and it breaks again and then you have to start again. So my argument would be for CHAN, for Kenya to continuously produce really good results for CHAN, not just to win the thing, but to go on to AFCON and continue delivering results. It has to move from, we are good at winning, like we've won one, maybe we can win 6. It's like, no, we do have a strategy. And a structure around this big, beautiful game that is football. I think that's lacking in this country.
Yeah, actually, one of the comedians that we have in the scene called KK, he's also a football coach and he has a couple of academies. What is missing in Kenya is that academy system.
Yes.
We nurture talent from a young age. So you feel like the guys in Morocco have borrowed heavily from Spain. It's just like across the border, the La Masia and the Real Madrid academies. So you find that there they pick their talents from as young as 5 to 7 years old. And here on a party, this talent discovery happens in the high school games.
Yes.
So that's the difference.
So it's much older.
Yeah, but that being said, I feel like this tournament, we have one of the youngest teams we've ever put in a tournament. We have a coach that, like, even from his reactions, looks like he solely believes in the team. For the first time in a long time, Kenyans are really happy with the team selection. The only thing that we didn't want was Baba Yega ameenda Simba Tanzania akakosa. Hiyo ni Tanzania. Nyinyi mtotuko yeye sababu but it's okay, but he's also injured. So I'd say we maybe not to win, but I feel like this is also like a platform for us to prepare for AFCON that is coming.
Yes, that's true.
So but we're hoping against hope we're in the group of death. We started off on a good foot. So even if I don't think we will though, I think we can get a draw. Even if we lose to Morocco, I think we're in a good position to continue and in a good position for our players to get 1 million cash per game.
They have been
1 million cash money.
Actually, what's your take on that? By the way, 1 million for every game won, 500,000 for a draw, 60 to 70, then to 600 if you win it.
This is the modern day Colosseum. You gotta
fight for it.
Plead the masses. I think they're trying to give motivation and also being used as a political tool.
Yes.
Whether they'll be given the money, it remains to be seen.
They were promised the same thing in 2019.
Yeah, so let's wait and see. But also, do you think politicians promise Harambee Stars money because wanajua wako chini? Like, also is chini.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like your bet ishachomeka. Like it's, I think also.
Sure bet.
Okay, I know that there's a distrust in like the politicians. Like we don't even give you training. Why would you win? But also at the same time, at the core of that 600 million is what is the capacity of Kenya to build out systems where players actually get paid so that they don't have to wait for the big payout from the pressure of winning.
Yeah.
But if you're able to deliver in smaller ways, I think that pressure is alleviated. Because if you only have to do it like at a national scale, like even as an individual player, you feel like there's so much at stake. So it's not just like the Kenyans watching, it's the money you want to make if you're not making any money. So the small differences, like like the desperation cannot always deliver results, but if there's incentivization through continuous support, built out facilities and everything that's really, really working on a day-to-day, I think the 600 million would have been like a sure bet. But say I'm with Ribi on this and where it's like it could maybe wanajua hiyo 600 million.
Actually,
itaenda State House kujenga cho.
To me, it's a good thing, but it's also a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Yes.
A few months ago, in the time when goons were out in the streets, there was a gentleman who was out in the streets and was identified to be a referee in the local leagues.
Yes.
And he stopped refereeing or was part-time refereeing whilst also doing these activities and being paid by these people to attack protesters. That to me was a symbol of a failed sports system that failed to protect its own. That's the guy ending up being in these protests in that capacity. Now, the politician is doing these things. One, he's promising 600 million if you win. He's giving you $1 million for every game you win. That's really good. But on the other hand, he's not delivering on the promises he made. He's not constructing the stadiums he promised you, not putting enough money in the leagues, constantly making it difficult for football leagues to exist and for even players to even exist, and even failing to create an environment that allows businesses to pour money into football and things like that because they're constantly overtaxing businesses. So he's taking from one hand and giving you a lot more with one hand for this 1 month and promising you the world. But it's consistently over the 5 years he's in power, taking away from you every day.
So that's true.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It's true. Actually, the biggest problem in Kenya is that you've not built the football market. Every single effort that was done was drawn back by politicians. So let's start, for example, from the 80s. Have you ever seen pictures of derbies in the 80s? Nyayo ilikuwa na capacity kabisa. Back when Kenya won the Mandela Cup, the Gor Mahia won the Mandela Cup. So it used to be massive. It was so big that even Kenyans used to travel abroad. Remember how was it the Tomboya's killer?
Yeah,
was supposedly arrested, but then he walipelekwa Egypt akaishi huko. But Gor Mahia fans, when they're going for a game against, I think, Al Ahly, they saw him like, yo! And then they came back together. That's how he ended up being arrested, and he met his justice in Kenya. So it was a big thing. But now, it was being combined for politics. So in an effort to stop it being grown for politics, the current regime at the time killed the entire football leagues. Because at the time, all our teams were tribal. So it was being used for politics, so they killed all of them. Then there was the second rebirth that happened around time ya Fabish. Unakumbuka Fabish? That is our peak. Hey, we were one game, 1998-97. We were one game away from the World Cup. We were this close. Then what happened again? After that, resurgence, corruption, ikingetenda kama FKF, never happened again. The last one was a bit painful because it was the closest where I've been an adult. It was when there was involvement of betting companies into football. At some point, you've seen right now they've sponsored 1 billion again, but before that,
10 years,
I think there was around a 600 million sponsorship into sports at the time. Now, during the Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, there was wrangles about betting and all the funding was withdrawn. There's politics as well. Supersport was withdrawn. For example, with Supersport, people are being watched across the world. So you find that more of our players would find places to play abroad, and super squad contracts are also big. So that means each club will get some money, and that will in turn lead to better salaries, better refs being paid. That also because of corruption was withdrawn. And also by a failure of our people to consume that product, because super sport was not making money from it. So I've seen Kenya go from the high and the low. You guys know that in most of our sports, we've gone to a place where we have been the best in the world to being hockey. We went to the quarterfinals of the World Cup in the 70s. We went to being horrible. Football, Mandela Cup, we were the best in Africa. Gor Mahia was the best club in Africa. We went now to being at a Toki group stage. Basketball, same thing, men and women. In the 90s used to win. Right? Currently, the ladies are winning the best in Africa. Volleyball, the ladies are the best right now in Africa. Cricket, we went to the quarterfinals. So it's a case of mismanagement. So I think this is being used as an incentive. But questions remain whether we'll have any systemic structures to support this growth. Because now we have clearly seen Kenyans can go to the stadium to watch the game. Just a study initiative, what will be done now to support this for our clubs? And
also the local leagues as well. The
local leagues as well,
males football leagues,
And it's also a political thing. It's not the first time. Ushaenda time ya campaign uenda kwa grau. Kwa grau uko... My dad used to preach in Kangemi, so when he was preaching in church, me and my friends used to go play in the Kangemi League. Kwa sababu kwa time politicians walikuwa nakuja. Whoever wins the league on Sunday anapatiwa 100,000. Hizo games ilikuwa moto. So every time kuna MP kwa ground time campaign, this model ya mkishinda tawapatia do, this is where it's coming from. It's a thing being used for politics. It's common, but we just pray and hope now that we can, if we can see such large-scale investments into the structures of it, But wakilipo pia si mind, acha kina watu walipwe wakule kakitu, hopefully washinde. I hope that's incentive enough.
To your point, I think also like politicians playing politics with like sports and everything, like swaying the masses so that they can contribute the very money that they're stealing from them back into those things. So when you say hopefully they can invest in those structures, I think the moment you invest in those structures, you take away that kind of power. So I think that doesn't give them incentive. If I'm going to build you a stadium where you can play and you'll win things and you're going to have tournaments without my input, I feel like I'm losing some kind of power. So most of them retain their influence uko kwa community because they feel a little bit entitled to your success. They feel a little bit entitled to the progress that you're making. And like a lot of our politicians like to be worshipped. They like to be demigods, mini-gods, like they're like, you say thank you, bow down. It's a very messed up structure, and a lot of people fall for it all the time because they don't think, oh, the money that I'm being given as prize money is attached to this stadium that's dilapidated. It's attached to this community ground that has been grabbed. Like all these things are interlinked, and if we're not having the conversation about structure from a point of like, my money is not just worth the play that I've made today, it's worth about where I go to train every day. I'll give an example. I was coming back from Mombasa, when was this? On Friday or Saturday, one of the days, I'm forgetting. So we were passing through this neighborhood and we see a group of kids who are like holding footballs, like a group of girls who are holding footballs. They're going across, I don't know where they're going to play, maybe in a school or something. And then there's this large area that has affordable housing. And our Uber driver was saying, instead of having this affordable housing here, if they could set up like a community proper playing facility, it would change these girls' lives because they would have a place to go. It's safe, it's secure. The coaches can be there. The girls live in the neighborhood, so they don't have to travel, no travel costs needed. And then it would create some kind of sporting culture for that community where on a certain day it's training, you can go watch the training. On a certain day it's actual games, you can go watch the games. But as long as those structures are not there and you can only wait for the big tournaments like Chan or a possibly bigger one where the MP shows up, that culture is not going to go anywhere.
And it puzzles me and disappoints me to a great degree that the version of supporting sports for a politician in Kenya is over-promising on stadiums and having these two small leagues, these one-day tournaments. Have you seen them? These one-day tournaments that every MP seems to always have.
Yeah, and they come with like a stack of cash. And I'm like, where's that money coming from?
Exactly. But to them, that is the imagination of them supporting sports in this country. To them, that's... for instance, if you go to a local constituency, if you ask them what you did for sports, he's not going to speak about legislations and how he supported sports in the assembly. He's going to speak about a tournament that he did 2 years ago that had 100,000 prize for whoever won it.
Yes.
Which was just meant to give him a platform, if you're honest.
Yes, and that's so funny because there's an MP whose idea of supporting sports is, okay, even if we're going to make policy, we need to contextualize the policy we are making. So if you're an MP and you're going to make policy, the first thing you think about is like, how is the policy I'm making going to affect a greater extent of not just like the players themselves or like but like the leagues and the community in general.
Yeah.
So this MP was saying, I have supported a policy where we copyright all the jerseys of all the teams. It sounds like a good policy, but at the same time, do we have the manufacturing structures? Where are those jerseys coming from? If someone is making it in Imenti House, right? Are you going to have like some kind of licensure agreement? Like you get, like it has to be broken down in a way that the economic structure in Kenya works.
Already there are laws for that. Copyright law, if you make any piece of art, automatically you have a copyright.
Yes.
May I blame counties? I think counties should be the ones be having the structures for the academies and stuff. I think they should hire one, competent staff, for example, in the Ministry of Sports. And two, they should have a committed effort to build the next generation. Because I feel like, in terms of sports, our generation is cooked. I don't think we'll win much, but the next generation coming, that's the one that's going to win. So I feel like if we are going to talk about the Confederation of Sports and government involvement, it has to go from just the national government. We need counties now investing in these facilities, in these play parks, in these academies, finding out which sports your people are strong in. For example, we saw world record holders coming back into the country and saying they don't have a facility to train now, and your whole country's name was the home of champions. So I would say, let's start at the county level. Let's identify Western, you're good at football, you're a hotbed for producing rugby talents, even basketball, invest in that, even sprinters. Find areas where you can find talents and just have the talent. Then we can have now a nice academy scene for our young men and women to supplement what is really happening in our schools. Yeah, so I think we're almost there in terms of the private academies coming up. There are a lot of good private academies, at least in football, and also in basketball. There's also involvement by NBA Africa.
Even the NBA Africa set up something, I think, in Kiambu.
In Kiambu, across the country, they're doing really well.
And a couple of courts as well within Nairobi.
Within Nairobi, yes.
But for other sports, maybe we might need some help and some structures. But I feel like we need that institutional investment, and also we need that culture shift.
Yes.
When I was in high school, I know two kids. One was in Strathmore, I won't say his name. Scouts had come all the way from Scotland, Celtic, to watch him play. He was extremely rapid. Folks didn't allow him to go. He just didn't take up that opportunity. Another kid, I think, was in Kirinyaga. Scouts came all the way from Dortmund to pick this kid. And mzazi akasema lazima malize form 4 kwanza. By the time you're Form 4, these scouts don't want you. You're too old to be trained how to play football. So I think also we need like a culture shift also in our families to take sports seriously as a career, because people look at it as something you grow out of, almost like it's childish. So people only respect you if you're pursuing sport in Kenya if you make it. But before you make it, we amenda exercise. So it's not looked at a way of earning a living. So it starts with that culture shift, then we get investment of counties. I think we'll be in a good spot then.
I think that the second one comes before the former. So
I think it's the county government to change it, because you can't have that. You can't go tell that kid mama from the village without knowledge from Kirinyaga that your son has not in Dortmund, because he's never seen it.
He's never seen it. It's not real to them.
Now, if for example, kama wewe ni neighbor mtoto wa wanyama, unaweza kubali wanyama alienda kwa ama wadine suluhisho. Lakini sasa huko Kirinyaga, na wewe usikia sports mgani mtoto wa Kirinyaga bro? Hakuna. Labda ikwe waru eating competition. Huko hakuna sports majumba.
Hakuna mzee anapiga bodi zaidi.
Na kuna mlima the same na Eldoret. Wachanga.
But Ribia, Justine, we have a few more topics to go through. Chan is one of them. NACADA is the other one. Recent regulations, and Ribia, you have a lot of opinions on this one. We'll let you take the ball after this. But a lot of regulations, among them, if I can read them, the sale of alcohol, these are, by the way, not stamped as approved and new regulations. They're just proposals at the moment. The sale of alcohol and cigarettes at events where children are present, including sports and entertainment events, art, music competitions, shall be prohibited in the new proposals. Other prohibited locations include public beaches, public parks, amusement parks, recreational facilities, medical facilities. I don't know who's selling alcoholic things in medical facilities, but around sports facilities, around bus parks, around bus stops, petrol stations, railway stations and ferry stations, piers and along highways. Purchasing drinks from vending machines and hawkers will not be permitted. Supermarkets will also be, it will be illegal to sell any alcohol in those premises. Restaurants as well. These are so many places where alcohol is even culturally accepted in this country. I'm thinking public beach. I was brought up in Mombasa. I grew up in Mombasa, and Pirates, which is also Jomo Kenyatta Public Beach. That place always had cigarettes, it had alcohol, it had coconuts, the one you're used to, it had juice, it had viazi. And so alcohol was just one of those many things that you could buy along the beach. Ukibarizi, sindio, you're basking in the sun or swimming even. Yep. These things have culturally been accepted in these places in Kenya. To me, the moment I saw these, I imagined a world without them, and it didn't make sense. Then I started asking myself, what inspired these policy changes? Why it didn't make sense to me is because it didn't do any harm to have these things sold in those places. It hasn't been a thing that I've imagined 18 to 21. I think that's a thing in the UK, in the US and other places, right? The legal drinking age being 21. In Kenya, we've always been used to 18. So many regulations, it can have a huge effect on the economy. Alcohol, excise duty on alcohol and taxes, VAT, all these things, those contribute a huge chunk of the taxes that we have in this country. Taxes that pour back into the economy, taxes that allow us to have roads and all these other things. Even support farmers, because barley and sorghum, millet, all these things that are used to manufacture alcohol are grown by farmers. Yep. The same farmers that you'll be supporting with fertilizer subsidy on this other end. It feels like so many things are happening and they're trying to shut everything down at the same time. But then why?
Also, my question to you, Ribia, will be, is this over-regulation or is it bad regulation? Because I think there's a little bit of a difference there where you can have an issue with alcohol, because if kids are exposed, they're likely to see it normalized, and then they will engage with it, even if not with you present, but they feel like it's normal. So maybe the government is like, tukificha hawatakunywa. But at the same time, I don't think this is about educating or shielding kids. I'll get into that in a bit. But I think I would ask you, do you think this is the NACADA policy? Is it bad regulation or over-regulation? Or is it both?
They've mixed good things and bad things. So if for us to discuss it, you have to go one by one. And it's a topic I feel very strongly about, not because I'm an ardent consumer of alcohol.
You didn't need to preface it with Nissim Levy.
First of all, let's start by saying NACADA, we see the work you've been doing on the ground in terms of prevention of abuse of drugs. Even I was in NACADA, the club as a teen in high school. They gave us good education. They are trying to do their best even in setting up addiction centers across Kenya. So in that effort, let's give them the flowers. Now, in this policy, kuna vitu vingi za kudiscuss. Haya, kwanza 18 to 21. Is that a good policy? Hell no. Let's look at the countries that have done it. USA did it in 1984. Why did they do it? Because they had a really big problem with drunk driving. The people who were causing accidents back then were people in that age bracket, all right? Kenya, how many 18 to 21-year-olds can afford a car? What is the age bracket causing accidents? Ni watoi. Abada huko matatu. So if you look at that as the age bracket, let's look at even the success of this policy in the USA. 60% of teens when they hit, of these people when they hit 21, they said that they really had access to alcohol.
By the time that age.
By the time that age. So there, it doesn't work. Like, there's a whole genre of movies of college parties, of people partying in their dorms, of people, like, people buying alcohol with fake IDs. So restriction to access doesn't do anything. All right? So when you're saying that's the logic. And also, let's think about the things an 18-year-old can do. You can marry. You can join the army. You can join the police. You can start a company. You can be the president of the Republic of Kenya. You can do everything else they're telling us that an adult can do. But having a cold beer after a hard day is what you're saying they can't do. To celebrate, it doesn't make any sense.
What hard day is an 18-year-old having? Come on, Rivia.
Missing marks. Missing marks.
Yeah, so many problems.
Just for having fun. Also, let me finish this issue of 18 to 21. The biggest problem I have with this is already NACADA is struggling in regulating under 18s from drinking. So if you're struggling with under 18s, how does increasing that pool help you? Because I used to be a Sunday school teacher, all right? And I had one big problem to somewhere in Kagongo. I had one big problem. In Kikuyu culture, most of the kids were Kikuyu. I had Kikuyus and mostly Lues. Kiddos, so that was my demographic. A few Kambas here and there. When you get to the age for the big cut, initiation, you go sit with your uncles and your cousins, or even your uncles. Now the problem is, that region, the people who would advise these kids when they're that age, they're the worst of the worst. They're telling them to become a man, you have to drink, you have to do this and this, this and that. So you'd find that all of these kids that have come up in Sunday school being good children, performing well in school, after they're exposed to this initiation and they come back to me in Sunday school, they're not the same. Washaanza kunywa chama and stuff. So you find that even in Kenya, the biggest access of people to alcohol is via friends and family. So this policy does nothing. Also, the solution will be if, for example, the grace period of this 1821 resolution and then you start enforcing it, is a solution to jail people who are already adults. Do you understand the dangers of that? Right now, one of the biggest cause of death, you are safer in the hands of a thug than the police.
That is true.
Taska moja hapo kwa sel gonge kichwa kwa ukuta ukufa. Unacheki vile kunaenda siku hizi. So it's crazy. It's like you can't expose the same police that are harming and killing this youth to tell them, no, we care about you now. This police will stop you from. It doesn't make prohibition for this age group, adults. Doesn't make sense.
I would argue differently, and I think scientific studies would also argue differently. Studies have shown that between 18 to 21 or any age group regulations to lower or increase the age limit for drinking does have an effect on drinking habits. That's there. It's written in science. Multiple of studies have shown
What effect does it have?
Lowering the alcohol consumption rates in the country. And Kenya, alcohol consumption rate is something that is actually even a budget line in the office of these.
Before we continue, let me just
address that one. To you. Because, personally, yes, I used to drink a lot of that when I was younger, but not because I was, again. I think it's an issue of education. Let's look at countries in Europe. Akina Germany, akina Italy, where even a 16-year-old, even 14-year-olds, you can go to a restaurant, have a meal and drink wine. Wako na alcohol problem, people consuming alcohol at 18 to 20. Is that a big problem in the country?
No.
Why? Culture and exposure. So what we're having here, alcohol for these kids, at least in that age group, is being used as a tool to rebel. So they're drinking not for enjoyment, they're drinking for intoxication. So there's that difference. So it's a culture issue. And also, I don't think they are that big of the target market. Maybe the one that will reduce the cheap alcohol. Because unlike other jurisdictions, we have a really big counterfeiting problem.
Illicit alcohol.
ABL said 50%. 50% of alcohol consumed in Kenya is illicit. Counterfeit, right? So, if you ban this 18 to 21 years from drinking, what you've done is you've given these illicit alcohol producers a whole target market.
Yes.
You've given them, you target these guys exclusively. Because you know EBL will follow the rules, you know Karachi will follow the rules. So these people who are selling illegal, these are the people who they will target. So essentially, if you're putting this law, essentially you're putting them in more harm.
Yes.
And they will do it.
They will drink,
they're
just
adults,
not from you.
They will, you can, like, at that age, at that If you tell that person no, it's the first way to tell them to do it. Because now you've made it more cool. You've made it more appealing to them, you know?
It's a goal to get it.
Yeah.
Justine.
Like, let's just get into the statistics of like what alcohol abuse and substance abuse looks like in Kenya, especially according to NACADA's report and the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. So 1 in every 6 Kenyans, that's about 4.7 million Kenyans, aged 15 to 65 currently use at least one drug or a substance. 1 in every 8, that's 3.2 million, consumes alcohol. 1 in every 12, that's 2.3 million, uses tobacco. 1 in every 53, that's about 500,000, uses cannabis. 1 in every 500 Kenyans, that's about 60,000, misuses prescription drugs. Au ni marriage kid. 1 in every, because prescription drugs are very expensive.
Yes, they are.
1 in every 15 Kenyans, that's 1.7 million, engages in polydrug abuse. So there's like multiple substances. And then something concerning is like there's a 90% increase in cannabis use over like a 5-year period. So it feels like there's an escalation of the abuse of cannabis. But then the data highlights also 1 in every 20 Kenyans is addicted to alcohol. That's about 1.36 million Kenyans. That's a lot of people. 1 in every 30, that's about 800,000 is addicted to tobacco, and then 1 in 111 is addicted to cannabis. So cannabis has lower rates. And then a significant proportion of current users are dependent on these substances. So there are people who use them, abuse them, and are addicted. So the alcohol users who are addicted are about 42.4%, which is really high. 38.8 tobacco users are addicted, and 47.4 cannabis users are addicted. So a lot of the chunk of the people who use and abuse are ending up addicted. No, I'm just like reading the stats. And then lastly, so for 15 to 24 years youth, there's a finding on substance abuse because a lot of it is widespread. So 1 in every 11 youths, that's about 600,000, use at least one drug. 1 in every 20, that's about 300,000, consume alcohol. 1 in every 31, that's a very young age group, 15 to 24. 1 in every 31 uses tobacco. 1 in every 37 uses cannabis. 1 in every 1,000 prescription drugs. So prescription drugs has a lesser pool of people. That's about 8K, but that's still very high. And 1 in every 26 uses multiple substances. So you can mean
15 to 24. Well, they're trying to manipulate us. Give me 15 to 17. Then give me the data on that.
Yes.
Because once you're 18, they're already adults.
Okay.
So they're conflicting issues. So if you have a pool where, for example, now from 18 to 24, these are the bigger pools. So
Yes.
15 to 17 is only 3 people in 3 age brackets.
Yes.
So of course those numbers look disastrous. So that's just a poor case of just horrible sampling and using data in the wrong way.
Okay.
If you use us in a thesis, mse hata kama ni kazi ya kuandika watu academic papers, hautaenda mahali nayo.
And Justine, maybe I'd like to get back to you on that one. But Justine, there's something that you've constantly said on your platforms, on your show Facebook with Justine, and even here on The Big Picture. The government again overreaching and regulating and addressing the wrong issue. Because at the core of this, I think they're trying to address a moral question. As opposed to actually fixing the problems in the country. I think at the core of this, you've had the deputy president, now former deputy president, constantly saying watoto wetu ni bangi, ni pombe, no inafanya all these reckless things, including showing up to the streets to protest. I think this is just another overreach from the government to address a moral problem that does not exist in the country. That's where I'm seeing this.
I agree with you. In two aspects. So a lot of youth do not even have, this is speaking from what we've just spoken about in Chan. A lot of youth do not have structures around their immediate communities on how to continue living the life that they're curious about, right? Ribia himself has said he was literally in Sunday school teaching kids who would come back changed. And that has a lot to do with if you're getting influences from your immediate family.
Yeah.
Those are people who you love and you feel care about you. So it's very hard for that to shift because I feel also your family hasn't seen anything different. Like everyone is okay with that behavior.
Yeah.
If you're in a community where everyone is a lot more responsible with the way they talk to you about alcohol, drug abuse, the statistics of how we view this thing is obviously going to shift. But also, the second point is like the moral overreach. That's absolutely true because the government has been trying to find an angle to blame younger people for their behavior and for talking back to elders. But if the elder is literally an irresponsible person, they're using 600 million so they can pay $1 million shilling to a football player. But the football player does not have a proper community playground, a proper league, that is not beholden to a politician. That's immoral.
It is.
It's telling someone, for you to get to this space, you have to survive the alcohol abuse in your family. You have to, that's if it exists, you have to survive poor community structures. You have to survive bad coaches. You have to survive people who don't support your dreams, people who've given up on you. And then you have to, after you survive all that, and survival is difficult, after you survive all that and you don't fall into any pitfalls, if you get to play at Chan, I'll give you $1 million.
I'll give you $1 million.
If anything, they are short selling you. They have literally stolen your entire life and the entire worth that your life could be, and they're giving you the $1 million as a reward of something that truly does not exist. Because then if you fail, if you don't get to the Chan Championship and win it, you'll feel like a failure.
Yes,
and that is deliberate. Now the burden shifts from the people who are supposed to be responsible for you to you as a person not being able to hold that trophy.
You maybe not being good enough, or they're not being, you not holding it enough in the game and turning into alcohol abuse when in real sense they didn't make these things available to you. But then at the same time, there's an economic perspective to this.
Yes.
Alcohol is a huge percentage of where our tax comes from. Mad percentage of it. And alcohol is one of those products that are constantly
alcohol.
Yes.
And
betting. Yes.
You are maybe just holding up the economy like this in the government.
All addictions, by the way. All of them are addictions. The ones you've mentioned. Betting, alcohol,
telecom.
And yes. Internet addictions, but then that's something we'll get to. But looking at this from that perspective, and I remember this story that I was told a few weeks back here on The Big Picture by John Allen when he was here. The story...
Before we began, I came here to see John. Because I don't even worked on my deep voice. And then,
we didn't tell you.
And then, because I was coming to see the celebrity star journalist.
Yeah, you have a celebrity here, man.
Who? Ako?
Please, let's not get into it.
You guys had like 20 minutes to do this on his show.
Yes.
From that perspective, I saw how overregulation can affect it. Senator in 2015.
Yeah.
Huge keg brand in the country. Everyone was drinking it at the end of a workday. Caused a reduction in the cost of alcohol in general in the country because it was heavily consumed. Then completely or to a large degree shut the illicit market because it was available for such low costs. Then the government comes in, says we'll impose 50% excise duty on this product. What happens to the product? It doubles in prices. What happens after that? The thing disappears. It becomes too expensive for the regular man to achieve it, the target market for that product. 3 years later, Uhuru Kenyatta comes, reduces those excise duties, makes it, incentivizes that market for the manufacture of those things by making those, the excise duty slashable by almost 80% if they are manufactured using local millet, sorghum, and all those inputs. The product again comes back. Yes, the product again comes back, right? So what NACADA is doing right now is exactly what it did in 2015 to collapse the brand that was Senator Keg. But now it's doing it to this entire market. I don't know how they wish to survive with this because at the same time, the KRA tax targets are constantly increasing. So the economic impact could be massive. I mean, briefly, you guys could share your opinions on that.
So 2 things. It's called sin tax. The good thing about sin tax is that it's based on things that people are culturally inclined to do already. If you put a tax on alcohol, it doesn't mean that I'll stop drinking. I'll just find a cheaper alternative. Now, therein lies a bigger problem. Now, growing up, beer was a working man's drink. all right, it was very easy to afford.
Yeah.
When I joined campus, a beer was 100 bob. All right. Over the years, now the beer is a rich man's drink. Right. So people, working man went to keg.
Spirits.
No, keg first. Keg now, again, tax hikes. Even that became expensive. Now people have gone to not just spirits, but the illicit, illegal spirits. So this has had an impact of one, you're not collecting enough revenue from the products themselves because people are buying illicit. Number two, the harm and the danger. Now, if you look at these things in terms of government overregulating, yes, indeed, it is a case of overregulating that has harmful consequences.
Yeah.
I think it should be a partial approach, where one can say in some areas you need some form of regulation. So, for example, there are areas in Kenya with excessive alcohol addiction. Central Kenya is greatly affected in that. In the Bundus, there's no economic activity. Most of the young men have lost their lives to
alcohol.
Alcohol addiction. There's even that documentary by BBC. But in the same measure, so much so that most alcohol companies, when they launch a brand, they always launch them in central counties. Did you guys know that? Now, on the other side, for example, there was a factory that was built in Kisumu side because of the tax VAT exemption that they got, and they built an entire factory, hoping that it can induce consumer markets over there. It never picked up because it's not their culture. So enforcing this law there doesn't make sense. But if you have like measures that you take them, for example, you put up addiction centers and having a measured approach in central Kenya, using your counties, then that makes sense. Right? And I have a lot of things. The reason I really don't like this NACADA's data is it's conflating two issues. You're saying you're trying to stop people from drinking by raising their, for example, age. Whereas it is shown that Gen Z are actually drinking less. You said there's a spike in cannabis. That's what they're using. They're not drinking. One, it's unaffordable, and two, it's not cool for them anymore because there's a lot of education online about addiction.
It's not cool.
So people nowadays are talking about addiction, so you find that Gen Z are generally not drinking. There's a study done by Gallup, international one, that at least in Europe, 60% of them, they don't find alcohol attractive.
Same with cigarettes.
Yeah, same with cigarettes.
Yes.
That's why now, but they've transitioned now that side to vapes.
Yeah, to vapes.
So that 18 to 20-year-old is the wrong target market for this, and it solves nothing.
It doesn't solve
the people who will be drinking will continue drinking. Now, the problem I also have with this policy, which people are not mentioning, is banning of celebrities in endorsements.
That part.
Yeah.
The problem I have with this is that the alcohol economy is really clear. For example, the music industry like this. Like this.
Mazet, ciphers za calligraphs zitapotea.
Za calligraph though. Hizo concert zote.
Please.
Soul Festival, but it doesn't survive on tickets alone.
Yeah, that's
Oktoberfest.
true. All those brands are alcohol brands. Yes.
So when you come and say that young men and women are drinking because celebs are sponsoring this, that's not the truth. We've already established right now in this conversation, people are drinking because of exposure at home with friends and family. Right? Two, even if you ban the local celeb, PDD back in the day alikuwa anafanya Siroki iko popular. Huko na calligraph na Ciroc. Wasoko na so uliona 50 cents na cognac yake hapo. Nani mwingine anauza celeb anauza pombe? George Clooney yako na yake. Nani mwingine?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Yeah, Henny, the way it's been used by black Americans to make Hennessy popular. So if you're going to ban Kenyan celebs, what about the international ones? Because that impact will still come to us.
To us locally.
And our children. And you've already established that's not the main reason that they drink. But let's look at the economy. Now, if you ban that by celebs, you're not just banning the celeb guy from making money. You're banning the guy selling tickets at the gate. Yeah. You're banning the waiters. You're banning the Uber guys bringing people to the events. Yeah. You're banning the DJ, the guys supplying the tents, the guys supplying the equipment. Even the alternative economies. Ule mse amekuja hapo kuza kaombidho hivi. Mtu amekaa mleni hapo kuibia watu kasimu. These are all other independent economies being grossly affected.
Income, by the way.
Grossly. There's a study done in South Africa that showed such a blanket ban on celebrity endorsements would lead to the job about 3,000 jobs. 3,000 to 6,000 jobs. And it's not jobs as they're not doing. This is like families being affected. Yes. This is already in a country with a 60% unemployment rate. Right. Let's talk about the other effects of this policy. Saying that alcohol should not be sold in places adjacent to schools. Sounds fantastic. One, there's already laws against it, for example, in terms of county regulations, and also some acts provide for that already. Two, these businesses are already existing right now, right? People have put in massive investments. in terms of the schools and even these places. It's a case of just horrible urban planning.
And implementation as well.
Yeah, so what are we doing right now? We're just bringing another avenue for corruption. Because remember, that law already exists. You're not supposed to, I think right now there's a 300-meter, I forget the act, but I'll check it, I'll look it up when you guys are talking and I'll let you know. Another policy they think this does is regulating where alcohol can be sold. How are you telling me you can't buy a beer, a glass of wine in a restaurant? How are you telling me you can't have a beer by the beach? Think about how that will impact our tourism. You can have a beer by the beach in Dubai, an Islamic country, where pombe ni haram. Nasema haram, haram. It's high.
You cannot try it.
So it doesn't make, look at the impact it will have on our tourism. Yeah? And let's look at, for example, you've banned alcohol in stadiums. I can understand Kenya's had a history of rowdy people, blah, blah, blah. It's the ban on alcohol in Kenyan stadiums has always been there. Now, and I can't even fault it. You go out there from time immemorial. I can't think of a time of people buying drinks in that. Okay, wait. Rugby events sell alcohol.
They do sell alcohol. Absolutely,
They do sell the football needs to ring.
Alcohol brands support and sponsor
rugby,
those events.
And rugby has been severely underfunded.
Back when, Foxville Kenya Sevens is a big, the local side. Apologies. Let me take back my statement. Let me now get back into that anger I was in and the momentum. 3, 2. Banning in alcohol in stadiums now. Think about the impact it has, for example, in sports. Sporting teams. Tusker FC will stop to exist. That's the only team from my side of town. Thika was already relegated. So tumetoka from Thika to Waraka. In our last team, our last hope for us what was Central Mpira. Ukitolea utabaki na nani? Tabaki na
waseka wewe sasa Ribia. But all that said and done, I genuinely think this is something that Kenyans should discuss. I hope this is NACADA just throwing a document at us.
I made a video. Tweeted at NACADA when they said they wanted us to do public participation. There's a Nikawa tweet. They replied back, "Wow, thank you very much." I read the tweet out loud.
Yes, please.
Just let me
get the tweet.
No, check. Let me just show you. Let me show you the
proactive man. But Justine,
yes.
Do you have anything you want to wrap up with regarding everything that we've spoken about?
I think one of the things that stands out for me with how the government of Kenya works, especially regarding regulation and policy, they love big pronouncements. Are they talking to people on the ground? Do they care about day-to-day people and how they hustle, how they make money, how they unwind, how they recreate, how all their lives are centered in what kinds of things that they are facing? If that's not the point of focus, any regulation or policy they set up is going to fail. And they're very good at failing. So maybe this is just checking another box. But at the same time, you always have to remember every single person who you're regulating or making policy for, their life will have to continue with your policy in place or without your policy in place. And the regurgitation of things is something that they also do very well. So they have to make an effort to ensure that Kenyans are not trying to they're not trying to play catch up with like, oh, you people are sinning, or you're not hyping enough churches. That's not our problem. Our issues are just go beyond don't drink alcohol, don't endorse alcohol. Our issues go beyond their morality stakes. Like we have a life and we have how do I say this? We have things to do. I don't know. A lot of you are idling huko kwa parliament, but like in real life, on NACADA, there are people who have been caught making policy on the fly. So if you don't consider the things that Kenyans have to do on a daily, not just to survive this economy, but to keep up with whatever is going on with them, you're not building anything of longevity. It's going to, the counter wave is going to be horrible. A lot of Kenyans are going to end up in worse places than if the policy was contextualized to protect them.
And the big question again is, are Kenyan politicians, Kenyan corporations, Kenyan ministries, are they making laws for Kenyans, or are they imposing laws on Kenyans that they think are good for Kenyans? And are they doing it in partnership with Kenyans? I think your big question is that. But Ribia, anything to close with?
Well, the intention, like you rightly mentioned, is very noble. Protection of our youth. You only didn't give us any counter proposals on how to best address the problem.
So it's like telling you,
So when you say dissolves,
Una complain,
dissolve
but
alcoholism in Kenya, wani sibonge sasa.
so anasema you complain but you don't have solutions.
But I don't have solution.
Which isn't how anyone should approach it.
Because this is public participation. I'm trying to tell them the policy document as it is ill-framed. It doesn't think out the harmful effects of this policy, especially the implementation. I think this is just a gateway for police harassment, loss of jobs, and corruption.
Yeah.
So it does nothing. Like Bien said, it feels like virtue signaling. And also I find it troublesome that the person you're putting to head this board is a pastor.
Yeah.
Not that pastors cannot be good, but like, you want somebody who's level-headed in this topic.
Not somebody who's...
Not draconian rules that, in effect, destroy. I mean, remember, the targets, our revenues are ABL keep going down and down. But if I have any partition, I would say that I'm very thankful to have graced you guys with my presence. Yeah. And I hope you guys are also thankful as well.
With such humility.
With such humility, of course. Being humble is what I do.
Yeah, for the topic.
For topic,
you're pulling your leg. No, just keep going, Rebia.
Wait, my closing, my last opinion on is just for the NACADA.
Yeah, you're wrapping up with humility.
This is the end of the show?
Yeah, this is the end of the show.
This is the end of the show.
You wanted more?
Huh?
That's it.
Nivo,
bro.
Wait,
mko free ni Joroga, loka kutoka hapa 3-4 hours.
Joroga.
Check you lock out.
Paka nilikuwa nishaomba visa. Nisatu, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really had a blast here. But next time, please, Mkunita, please.